Thanks, listeners, for joining us. It is a Friday as we're heading into the weekend and, of course, overlapping with our Memorial Day Monday. So you get a bonus today. You get to hear Julie Gabrielson, Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation educator, 2 times. Julie, it's 2 for 1 today.
It's a bonus.
You get a bonus show. Because, of course, there's no one more perfect to talk about wonderful outdoor activities and recreation and all kinds of summer offerings than Julie and NDOW. So thank you for being on the program.
And a great time to do it when we've got 3 days ahead of us to do it.
Yes,
and we're getting into warmer weather and water weather, all kinds of good stuff going on.
Yep. So that's what we are going to be discussing today. All things outdoors with Nevada Department of Wildlife. So first of all, believe it or not, with the youngsters getting out for school, there'll be some long summer days ahead, and there are some activities that NDOW offers, right?
Absolutely. We've got a lot of activities for youth and adults. Anybody of any age can really participate in most of our activities. We've got the next round of grab and go kits that are coming out on June 1st. They'll be available at the Elko and the Ely offices in this particular region. This month, they are do-it-yourself mini bows and arrows. And it's using popsicle sticks and straws and some tape is pretty much what it comes down to. So, and then, the kids can run around, or even the adults, because I know some adults that would do it as well. And they can put those things to work. And they're great kits. They're fun to do. And even if you run out of supplies with the kit that we supply you, they're easy supplies to come by. So if you want to build more, then you'll even be able to go out and do that on your own. So, and you'll have all the instructions right there with you.
And that's great. And you can pick those up at the offices.
Yep. Both the Elko and the Ely office. These have been a big hit. Most of these kits go out the door pretty quickly within a couple of days of us putting them out at the front desk. So all you got to do is you come in, you tell them you want a kit, and they'll take your name and a little bit of information from you just so that we can kind of track everything and see what they're being used for, who's using them, if there's repetition behind who's using them, or if we've got new people coming in and picking them up as well. So, and then you just walk out the door with them. They are truly grab and go kits, something for you and the family to do.
Thanks, Julie. Always appreciate that update. That leads into something else, another form of outreach NDOW is doing.
Yes. Nicole and Michaela will be at the California Trail Days not this weekend, but the following weekend, June 3rd and 4th. They'll have a table event there with skins and skulls. You can ask them all kinds of questions, not just about the skins and skulls on the table, but about any of our events as well. And they'll be there both days during the California Trail Interpretive Center's California Trail Days. So that's something. For more information on the actual hours of that, you can get a hold of the Trail Center, whether it be online or you can just call them and they can give you the hours there.
That is going to be a big weekend, and it's a wonderful tie-in because many of our wildlife species were actually original to the days of when the pioneers were traversing.
A lot of them are, yeah. Yep, a lot of them are. So we've also got wild readings with us, and that'll be at the Elko County Library. It's going to be various Wednesdays throughout the summer, starting in June, ending sometime in August at about 1 o'clock each afternoon on those Wednesdays. Each month's reading will feature a nonfiction story that with a specific species that Nevada Department of Wildlife will include with an on-hands activity for it. Usually they'll bring a pelt or a skull or something along the lines too, so that anybody there can touch them and feel them and get a little bit more realistic idea of what the animal is that they're talking about. If you have any questions about that, you can call Nicole St. John at 775-777-2391 or the Elko County Library.
That's great. Another fun activity, Wild Wednesday, or Wild Readings, I guess, on Wednesdays.
Yes.
And wild summer months will continue with NDOW's outreach. This is so cool. Look at all the things you guys are doing.
Yes, lots of outreach. Similar to the Elko County Library with the readings, there's going to be events on Wednesdays also out at the terrace at the Ruby View Senior Center. All through the summer. It's about, I believe, 12:30 on Wednesdays. Monthly wildlife-related presentations with hands-on activities there as well. And you can get more information again from us at the NDOW office, or you can call the terrace at Ruby View for more information on those at the senior center. Free fishing day is coming up June 10th. We're pretty excited about this. No fishing license is needed for adults or children across the state for this particular day at any open public water. So this is the day to come out if you're not sure, if you've never fished before, if you haven't gotten your license before, and you want to give it a test run, this is the day to do it. All limits do apply and other regulations do apply. You just don't have to have your license that particular day. So Carlin Chinese Gardens will have a special event from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. in the morning, as well as at Cummins Lake down in Ely. The first 60 anglers under 18 that come and visit us at those events will get a free fishing pole. And usually there's a little bit of extra that comes along with that. We usually have some bait that we can help out with. If you're having problems, stringing your line and getting everything baited up and ready to go into the water, we can help you with that as well. We'll have some folks that will help kind of patrol the area, assisting with anybody that's having troubles or no troubles. We might just want to take pictures of you with your catch as well.
Oh, that's great. And of course, the goal is to encourage more people to participate.
Absolutely. Get outside and enjoy what we have to offer in this state. And there's a lot of water this year. So lots of great fishing opportunities are going to be happening throughout the entire summer.
So it's a perfect time to get to learn. And speaking of volunteering and getting out, this big Father's Day event is coming up.
Yes, our Father's Day Volunteer Guzzler Build is coming up, happening on the east side of the Butte Mountains this year. Last year we did it on the other side of those. Water Development will supply about 10,000 gallons of storage to benefit elk, mule deer, and pronghorn antelope throughout the year. You can join us at base camp on Friday the 16th. And we usually wrap things up mid-morning on Sunday. So that's going to be the 18th. Or you can just come out for the actual build itself on the 17th. I will say it's usually a pretty good thing to come out early and leave a little bit later because we provide a lot of food. And that's all sponsored by the Elko Bighorns Unlimited. Usually a pretty good dinner Friday night, a Saturday morning, Saturday lunches, a really good dinner Saturday night, and then a pretty good breakfast on Sunday morning.
Oh, that's so nice, Julie. It's a great way for families to get out. There are usually projects for everyone.
Absolutely. And RMEF, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, is also a big supporter of this particular build. For more information, to sign up, if you want to come out and join us, whether it be a half day, a full day, the full weekend, get a hold of Nicole Hamlin at 777-2388. And if there is ever a time that you don't remember these phone numbers that I throw out, just call the front desk and let them know what you're looking for. And Natalie and Brandy up front can definitely direct you to the right place.
Excellent. Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife, our guest today. She's our conservation educator. And on to the topic, as you mentioned, the creeks and streams are running and we have some pretty happy fish.
There's a lot of water out there. Some of it's pretty muddy right now just because there's so much flow and it's got such a high flow rate that it stirs everything up. So the water is pretty cloudy in some areas. The reservoirs are full and the streams are blown out is what I'm being told. There's a lot of water coming down with any runoff. So really take a lot of caution when you're at any of these waters. Watch for any of these currents that might be flowing. Even if it's just appearing to be a small current, don't let that fool you because under the surface, it can be a lot heavier than what it looks. All local reservoirs and ponds have been stocked and fish stocking will continue through June as well. Wild Horse, Wilson, South Fork, and the marshes, they're all fishing really good. Some wipers up to 9.5 pounds have been caught recently out at Wild Horse as well. The road to Angel Lake, I don't know if any of you guys saw the picture of the crazy snowdrift that they've been plowing through trying to get that road clear. It is open. We still have not confirmed what the status of the lake is, though. It is assumed that it is still partially ice covered. I'm hoping that we'll have an update in the next week or so on that. And then Cummins down in Ely, fishing fair, water quality continues to improve with the high flow coming from the Steptoe Creek. Cave Lake, they've begun the construction on the dam down there. So hopefully we'll have some good news next year on how Cave Lake is doing.
That is terrific. And obviously, if anybody has questions, there is a great app or a website, right? Fish Nevada? Is that the one?
Fish Nevada, yes. Okay. We've got Fish Nevada and we've got Hunt. Well, it's Fish NV and then Hunt NV as well. And you can go in there and you can see. It's really interactive where you can pull up a specific water that you want to fish and look into, or a species that you want to fish. Lots of different options for how you filter what the information is that you're looking for. They're really, really cool apps.
Yeah, and we have a lot of visitors who are using those especially. So yes. Very cool. And from fish to game.
Yes, the big game draw results were released last Friday, May 19th. We do have some impassable roads and washouts from the runoff, so really practice a lot of caution while you're out and about playing around, especially with this holiday weekend. Just be smart. If it looks like it might suck you in, just turn around and go back. Don't take a chance. There's been a lot of rescues over the last couple of weeks where folks, even going out to rescue, have needed rescuing because it's just beyond what they've expected and didn't have the right tools for it. So just practice that common sense. Don't hit those really nasty roads. Turn around. Don't take a chance of swamping down and bogging down in an area that you're going to need to call for help. Keep vehicles on the existing roads. Even if they look nasty, don't stay on those. Just go away, back up, turn around, especially while you're out shed hunting, scouting, and enjoying all of our backcountry. So just really heed that caution and just play it smart.
Yeah, and we don't want to pioneer new trails because we've got lots of beautiful 2 tracks in almost every possible imaginable place.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's all about getting out and enjoying the outdoors. And speaking of, if you do have questions, different ways to access information via NDOW operations.
Yes. So any of our websites are best used on Google Chrome. That is the better platform. Using NDOWlicensing.com, you can go in, you can check your applications, you can buy licenses, you can look into your AIS stickers and your registrations for your boats. You do have to register your boats in person in the office, though. Go ahead, call ahead if you're planning to visit any of our more rural offices. This is that time of year where we have a very limited staff at those offices, so it's always a good idea to call ahead and make sure that they're going to be there at the times that you want to, go in and see them. Yard sale boats without titles. Call us before you buy them. We really caution people to not buy yard sale boats without titles, to buy any boat without a title. They can be a real challenge to transfer and get everything registered into your name, and time consuming as well. Boats purchased without or from out-of-state dealerships and businesses must pay a sales tax, but you have to do that through the Department of Taxation. We do not take the sales tax at the Department of Wildlife. NDOW does not process registrations for the OHVs. That's all done through DMV. And you can always visit the state park website for more information on the park passes, or even just go talk to them and they'll get you all squared away on them.
Yeah, that's great. There's going to be online registration starting in the fall, so take advantage of one last summer and get out and enjoy the parks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So,
and then some of the urban activities that you offer, and this is really helpful to homeowners. I've seen more pictures. I don't know about you, Julie, but it seems like there's more being shared on social media about people seeing snakes.
Lots of snakes lately. Yeah, everything's greened up. I just had somebody, tell me even before I came in here that last week they went to to one particular place and the grass was like ankle high, and just over the course of another week the grass was almost hip high, and he told me, he says, and I can't tell you how many snakes I saw out in it. And this wasn't necessarily an urban area, but it's just a good indicator that they're coming out, they're warming up, and they're out on the terrain and out there. So one thing to really pay attention to is the difference between the Great Basin rattlesnake and the Great Basin gopher snake. We only have one venomous snake in this particular region, and that is the Great Basin rattlesnake. They tend to be a little bit more docile than some of the other rattlesnakes, but they still are rattlesnakes. And if you threaten them, they're going to defend themselves. So some of the things to look for is, the main difference, again, Great Basin rattlesnake is venomous while the gopher snake is not. Gopher snakes are going to be more common in the residential areas, but they really like to mimic those rattlesnakes as a defense, and they do a really good job at it. Typically, they'll inflate their bodies, they'll flatten their heads, they'll hiss, and they'll even mimic a rattle. And what I've been told in the past is that they take their tail and they bang it against, bushes or rocks that actually will make that rattle for them. It's not truly their body making the rattle sound. Key factors is the rattlesnake will have a very broad triangular shaped head, almost mushroom looking. If you were to take it, and put it upright, it would be almost mushroom like. Thick bodied, really dull colors, muted colors. And then they obviously have the rattle on the tail if you see that. The gopher snake has a little bit more slender head. And even though in their mimic stage, they will flatten out, there's still a little bit of a tell there if you know what you're looking at. Longer, thinner body and darker, more defined colorations, as well as they tend to have a little bit of shine to them in comparison to what the rattlesnake will have. And a pointed tail instead of rattles. Couple things to keep in mind is keep a safe distance, respect their space, just like you want them to respect yours. And if you believe that you really truly have a rattlesnake, get a hold of us. Call NDOW for assistance. Don't remove it yourself. There's always that chance of you getting bit. And then there's other things that you've got to worry about then with that. So just give us a call and we can, help work you through it. And if need be, then we might be able to come out and help remove it.
Great, Julie. And I think it's important to note that, as you mentioned here, to keep a safe and respectful distance from all snakes, because really they would rather be on their way as well. They're not out there aggressively looking for people and dogs.
Correct. And sometimes there's some hazing that can be done even with the gopher snakes. We don't necessarily, we don't recommend it with the rattlesnake because they're going to defend themselves. But there is some hazing that you can do even from a distance. And sometimes that's the way to go about it. I usually, if I see something in my yard, I'll just take, many, many feet back, 10, 15 feet back, and then I'll just make my presence known and just kind of push them. Again, I don't deal with the rattlesnakes, so that's the gopher snakes that I'm doing that with. So by all means, if you know you've got a rattlesnake or are pretty convinced of it, give us a call.
Yeah, that's one of my most distinctive childhood memories is I did not know how many rocks or how far my mother could throw rocks until we encountered a rattlesnake stretched across the dirt road sunning itself.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, stepping on rocks, like what you just said, that's another thing. Instead of stepping over rocks, step on them. Because if something is tucked up underneath, then if you step over and you stomp on, make that noise, it might startle it and cause a strike, whether it be venomous or non-venomous. So step on the rocks instead of over them is one of the hints I was given many years ago.
Yeah, that's a good one, Julie. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And diversity. That means we're also seeing a lot more animals and species emerging in this better weather.
Yes, absolutely. Springtime means baby birds and baby animals. So we really are requesting and suggesting that you resist that temptation to rescue them. It might look like they have been abandoned and that they're on their own, maybe injured even. But in most cases, the parents are fully aware of where they're at and will return to care for the baby at some point in the day. We all, as parents, we all need that bathroom break, essentially where we lock the bathroom door and we walk away and we just need to, that breather. And it's not really much different in the wild either. They take those breaks, they go get their forage, but they do it away. And that's actually a diversion for predators. So by the adult, the parent being away, it removes more threat from wherever the baby is bedded, whether it be a fawn just bedded in some grass or a bird in a nest. Occasionally they fall out of nests. Occasionally they roost on the ground. So if you find those baby birds, just let them be. That is their absolute best chance of survival, is to just let them be. Also, our diversity group, they wrapped up bat spring experience or emergent sampling, which was for the white nose syndrome. That involves catching bats in traps, swabbing them for the fungus. And thankfully, we have not had it in the state of Nevada. We have not had any test positive for the state of Nevada in all the years they've been doing this. It's really a pretty cool way that they trap them. And handling them, and they're so small, and it's the funnest thing to watch them, handle these bats and get all these surveys done on them, and then let them loose and let them fly off.
They have a lot of personality, don't they?
They really do. Aww. Yes, they really do. Yeah, bats are not something that people should be afraid of. They're incredibly beneficial for our environment. And so when you get to experience one of the surveys like this and see them on the captures and then releasing them, it's really a cool experience.
And that's really a good segue, Julie, into law enforcement. We should not be afraid of them. We should appreciate them. They're creating a better environment.
Absolutely. Our law enforcement officers are phenomenal. I have so much fun on so many levels with these guys. They're so informative. They've got so much knowledge and experience out there. And they're just as good of an investigator as any other law enforcement agency, but they've got different experiences as well. So some of the things to keep in mind is boating safety. This is a big weekend that people are bringing their boats out onto the waters for the first time of the year. Wear your life jacket. It is so important to have that. Even if you're not of the age that you're required to wear one, we highly request that you do it and recommend that you do it. Paddle boards, kayaks, they all need to have PFDs. If you don't have to wear one, because anybody over the or under the age of 12 is required to wear one if they're on any of these crafts. But if you're not under 12 and under, you don't have to wear them, but we want you to wear them, and you have to have them within reach on whatever craft that you're on. And having those on in an emergency situation eliminates that one little second thought that you might not be able to have in the event of an emergency. So if it's attached to your kayak, that's one more thing that you've got to think about in the event that you're having a situation that you're not, comfortable in. So wear those life vests, keep them on you. Know your laws, know your regulations when it comes to boating safety and those PFDs. Don't drink and operate your boat. Don't use pool toys on the lake. That's just not a good idea. High flows are going to create really challenging currents in less likely places this year. So really be aware of any of those currents like I talked about a little bit earlier. It may not look like it's got a lot of current on top, but that undercurrent can be a little bit different for you and more challenging and cause a situation where you might not be able to get out of. And if you see something a little bit out of sorts out there, don't try to deal with it. Just give us a call. You can go to our NDOW tip app, or you can call our Operation Game Thief hotline, which is 800-992-3030.
Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife, and all these important considerations as we're enjoying a Memorial Day weekend for sure. And that's always good advice too about Operation Game Thief or the TIP app, just to and whatever situation you might be in, you might come across something that you think, oh, that's a little suspect, or if you find like an animal that it may be harvested illegally. We can think of lots of circumstances where people can report this.
Absolutely, and you can use that to report. Okay, you're concerned about something out there. It's not even necessarily something of legality reasoning behind it, but just another type of concern out there, a safety concern. I mean, they'll take all kinds of calls there, but that is the dedicated line for any hinky stuff that might be going on out there. But definitely, if you've got some other concerns, feel free to call that number.
And of course, you're bringing up shed hunting because, I don't know if you saw this, I saw on KSL.com the story about this Ogden, Utah guy that came over to Wells. Did you know he found this, they planted some antlers or something. It was like a trophy. It was worth $10,000. An app planted these in 4 different states to promote scouting for shed hunting. They weren't promoting shed hunting illegally, but they were promoting going to their website. But amazing. He got $10,000 for that.
I know. That would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, we didn't even know about it in Elko County.
Yeah. I can't say I knew anything about it until it was already too late to go out there and pretend that I'd found something.
Exactly. We'll get better for next year. Hopefully we'll do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So shed hunting is open. If you have gotten your collection certificate, you can get that online at ndowlicensing.com. It's just a quick certificate or survey or questionnaire that you've got to go through to get that certificate. And then you're good to shed hunt all year long. If you haven't gotten that, then you have to wait till July 1st to start shed hunting. Our collections are closed January 1st through April 30th every year. So that May 1st mark is usually a pretty heavy time for folks to get out there. And I've seen lots of great sheds that have been picked up this year already since it opened. The course is free. And just make sure you go to NDOW.org or NDOW licensing for more information on that test and getting it done. And it does have to be renewed every year.
Funny question, but I remember asking this question once when Joe Doucette was doing this, and I said, what are sheds, right? Because not everybody knows what those are. Yeah,
so there's a couple species that they lose their antlers every single year. So elk, deer, and moose are the ones that we have in this area. It's bone that regrows every single year. And what happens is once their rut, which is their breeding season in the fall, ends, their testosterone drops really, really low, and it creates an organism. I can't think of what it's actually called, but it's a cell that starts to eat away at the pedicle at the base of those antlers, and it weakens it. And then in the spring, as it's gotten to the point of just complete weakness, it falls off. And then the regrowth starts all over again because the testosterone level starts rising as the sun is up longer throughout the day, and then they start going into the rut and everything as well. So in the spring, when they start regrowing, they've got velvet that grows over the top of them. It's filled with just nothing but a bunch of blood vessels that feed all of that bone that's growing. And then usually late July, August, sometimes September, it's done growing. Those blood vessels pull back, it dries up, and then they rub all that velvet off.
Isn't science fascinating?
It's incredible.
No, and because, I think even as a kid, I probably thought that antlers just sort of grew on top of antlers because some of these are spectacular antlers, right?
Absolutely.
But every year they grow them brand new?
Yes. I looked at it in the early days as like a tooth. You're getting a new tooth and it's pushing the old one out. Until I learned about the osteoclast, which is what the cell is that eats away at that pedicle bone, and how the testosterone plays such a role in it, and the sunlight, and just how much sunlight we get during the day, and how that all rolls into it. It's pretty incredible and fascinating.
Yeah, and why it is coveted too, because it's used for different applications, not just decorative, but sometimes for jewelry.
Jewelry, it's been medicinal use for centuries. There's been all kinds of things that they've done with it medicinally. Jewelry, I've got them all over my yard. They're just yard ornaments for me. And now it's become a commodity. People sell them because they make jewelry, they make furniture out of them, they make chandeliers, all kinds of cool stuff out of them.
All right. So again, just to get in on all of this, because I know it's a fun family activity, because little kids can even spot and pick up sheds,
yes.
But you've got to have that course under your belt first.
Got to have that under your belt. And then, even though it's open, still respect the wildlife in their space while you're out there. If you notice that you're starting to bump them or move them, get out of there and go find another spot.
Yep. That's part of the course that's free and found online at NDOW.org. Well, I guess our last topic today, because your timing is always perfect, Julie, is that you are always looking for volunteers, people who are passionate, they care about wildlife, and they want to get involved.
We all have something out there that we're passionate about, and whether it be involving new people, teaching new people about an old sport, an old passion, or you want to get out there and you want to expand their knowledge on something that they've discovered recently or discovered years ago. So we are always looking for volunteer instructors. We've got lots of different opportunities for our instructors, from fishing to archery, upland game and waterfowl hunting workshops, trapping, tracking workshops, bass fishing clinics, wildlife identification classes, birding, taking people on a birding tour and helping them, start to sort out how to identify certain birds that they're seeing or hearing, and showing them the different apps and the different resources that we have for all of these. Shooting sports, intro to shotgun, muzzle loader, rifle, archery, all of those things are an option for us. Fly tying, regular just, knot tying classes, cooking. If you want to teach us how to cook wild game, Dutch ovens. There's so many different ways that we can use you as a volunteer instructor for us. We do have three shooting classes, beginner shooting classes coming up in July and August. Two will be with 22 rifles and the other one will be archery. We even pay for the RSO, Range Safety Officer certifications for you when we have those classes to come through, if that's something you want to help out with. So again, if this is something that you would be interested in, it can be a family event. I started as a hunter ed instructor back in 2000. My daughter is my partner and has been since she was about 15 years old. I'm not going to throw out there how old she is now, but she's been with me for a while now. So it's totally a family-friendly event, depending on what topic it is that you're doing. Obviously, we don't want 5-year-olds out there on a shooting range, but a husband-wife team, brother and sister, brother and brother. However you want to tie it in, it's definitely something that will really it gives you something back that you just can't even put into words.
And Julie, you reminded me too, Jill Tingey from UNR Cooperative Extension. She is recruiting right now volunteers for their 4-H shooting sports. So if this could lead into something, because that's another program that we've produced some national champions in that program. Yeah, so it's a huge opportunity. Again, safety is foremost, and you can just really ignite a passion and a responsibility.
And that's just it. And they start seeing the heritage when you've got that passion and it's been passed down to you, whether it be through generations of family members that have done it, or just the guy down the road that taught you about it 10 years ago. It's really a cool experience to be able to pass that on to somebody else, whether they're new or not, just struggling with something. I mean, I've been shooting archery for years, but I've got a good friend down the road that's been shooting for a lot longer than me, and he helps me tremendously on a regular basis. So it's really a cool experience. And so if you've got any interest in this, we really encourage you to come out and see us and talk to us. You can call Nicole at 777-2388.
Julie, thank you so much. We enjoy our time with you. We appreciate all this information, all the outreach and the good work that you're doing, you and your staff, the whole team at NDOW.
We have a great team. I mean, not just my team in the Conservation Education Division, but our entire team is really incredible.
Well, have a wonderful weekend. Again, you get a bonus. You'll hear this broadcast as you just did on Friday, and you're going to hear it again Memorial Day Monday. So enjoy, and thank you again. Be safe, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today.